on the human course studies. And yes, I am a fourth year graduating senior for mechanical engineering. And my topic today is life as a designer. But before I start, I just wanted to ask the audience a question. Does anyone here happen to know any vegetable puns by any chance?
I'm sorry, good answer.
Vegetable puns.
Vegetable puns.
That's okay. The whole point of this is, if you figure it out, let us know. So the reason that I started with a pun was for two reasons. One, because it's a cool way to break the ice, pun intended again. And two, it is very relatable to design, for me personally, because I feel that as a designer, every designer must be equipped with having a good eye for design, and that means being able to spot out very subtle but conscious design choices of anything that is designed, whether it is something physical, such as this MacBook, or something virtual, such as an online interface. And what I mean by that is, when you laugh at a pun like this, it's like you're showing your appreciation for the joke. In the same way, it caught you off guard as good design would catch you off guard. Unless you're overanalyzing something, you really don't see that something has, in fact, been designed for that reason. And for this pun, you laughing at it just means that it caught you off guard, just like design. So, in summary of that, it should make sense, and it should be obvious. And I feel that that's what design should be. That's the underlying principle of design. Like, you can go through the whole design cycle, but in the end, it should make sense, and it should be obvious. Whether using your cell phone and playing with the interface, it should make sense, and it should be obvious. If it isn't, then that means you need to go back and reevaluate your design. So I just want to talk about my personal journey from someone being completely apathetic to design, no idea what design was, to someone who is now presenting right here about design. I could just start by saying that I was born here in the Bay Area, went to school at some private Christian school, but my education there did not incorporate anything with regards to design. Everything was just sit in lecture, do homework, take exam, go back to the lecture, go back to doing homework, go back to exams. There really wasn't any incentive for anyone to be creative, or there just wasn't any material covered in design. It's just calculus, physics. It was very bland. And it wasn't until this new club on my high school started. It was called First Robotics, if you guys are familiar with it. It's basically a club for robotics that you design a working robot in about 6 weeks or a season, and you go compete with other high school students that are also building a robot. And it was in my I would say my freshman year. Yes, that's when I first joined, and I first hopped into this thing. I just wanted to try it. I realized this is fun. This is totally something new outside of class that I'm doing that finally gets me to apply what I've been learning in school, not just grinding anymore. I'm not grinding in classes, not doing exams anymore. I'm sitting here in this project with a team, working on this project, solving a real problem. So, but coming here to Berkeley, I wanted to continue my appetite for design, but I was being the dumb freshman I did not involve myself in anything. I just focused on the math and science that any mechanical engineering major had to take, and just grinded again. Just kept grinding on material, hoping to do as best as I can in these classes. But at the same time, I wasn't living a really balanced life, and it was very boring to me. So what it ended up doing was, after finishing all this grinding in the math and physics courses, I finally got to touch upon project-based classes that I was looking forward to in the very beginning of Berkeley, but I was disappointed with just the grinding. And that class was ME 135, which was a project-based class where you essentially design a mechatronic system. So the project that I came up with was called the Danny. It was a pet robot. We essentially made it like a pet dog, essentially, that follows around the user, and the user could interact with it directly. And in this class, the professor just gave free reign over everything. Just come up with a project. As long as it incorporates some mechatronics design, programming, and some sort of wiring component to it, then feel free to make it. So this is what we did. So this robot, we made it work by just mounting a Microsoft Kinect on it, which you can see over there. And the reason being is that the Kinect is really good at vision. So we used that, we took advantage of that and incorporated it into our design for the Danny by interfacing the Kinect with the ability to look at a user, find a user, and track the user. But the best part for me in this project wasn't just getting the raw stuff, getting what we proposed in our project proposal. We wanted to stretch it further, and what we ended up doing was made it more usable. We designed for usability. So what we ended up doing was we added the functionality of being able to speak to the robot. Because it was called the Danny, we allowed it to go through voice command options. So if you just said, like, come here, Danny, Danny, the robot, would literally move towards the user. And another thing is, like, if you tell it to sit down, it would stop moving altogether. And just seeing the audience of this project react to Danny was just very, very inspirational to me as an engineer at the time. But I want to say, like, from this project, I decided to reignite my passion for design. So, yes, I was an engineer, like, coming into this project, but when I started designing for impact by including voice functionality into this project, I just sort of felt like, yes, like, you can be an engineer and a designer at the same time. So in a way, from that, I had to design my own way of life. Being a sophomore and getting into this project, my first real design project in Berkeley, I sort of thought, okay, I'm really, really late into the game. What I ended up doing was I just decided to join all the design organizations, do all the design things I can do, involve myself as much as possible, go outside of campus if I needed to, which I did. I took a lot of online courses on user experience, learned graphic design, took all these decals, and joined all these organizations like Berkeley Innovation. And I even started my own design club on campus that was geared towards mechanical design called the 3D Modeling Club. And it's just things like this, just involving myself in design.